Back to another episode of the Eek of the Week. I'm your host, Albert Einstein, but you can call me Allie with an OWL. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode. We are going to change lanes this episode. We're going to do an update. Where are they now, if you will? I did a series a while back. I think it's been a while back of LolCows. I did a handful of the internet's cringiest people, if you will, aka a LolCow. These are people that are perpetually online, have their own following, whatever, but there's a lot more, I don't want to say hate, but there's a lot more people that are watching it like for the cringe factor over actually being a fan. These people are very unaware of themselves. Or they have a very overinflated sense of ego, in my opinion. So we are going to do an update on Amberlynn Reid and see where she's at. It's been a while since even I've kept up with anything going on in the Amberverse, as they call it. So we're going to get an update on where in the world is Amberlynn Reid. What is she doing now? Is she with anybody new? Where is she living now? Just a little, I don't know if I prompted the bot again, and it actually remembered the old prompts that I gave it about the LolCow series. So we're going to see if it kind of recaps anything, or if it touches on her past, or if it's going to just strictly give us an update on what's going on now. From what I can tell you, there have been multiple partners over the years, I believe, starting with, I forget the name. He's got a old name, but then there's a new name now. I think that was, but then there was a person before that. There's like a handful of partners. The most recent one being Tommy, as they call her. And then before that was Beck, and then before that was Destiny. Before that was two more. But anyway, that seems to be her whole life is her partner. It's herself and her partner. In my opinion, this is not. All of this I need to preface by saying, and I should have, started off this episode saying, mentioning the Fair Use Act, is that these LolCows like to strike down content that does not align with their opinions of themselves. Like I said, some of these people have very overinflated senses of ego, and they do not like anything adverse, any kind of, comments about them, or a commentary, as this would be. This is a documentary style episode, which is, reporting on the facts, basically, is just, this is what happened. And I can insert my own opinions because opinions are, anyway, y'all know the saying. Yeah, there is something called the Fair Use Act, and I think I did put it in my intro as instead I usually use the Eek of the Week branding for my intros, but this time I put the Fair Use Act disclaimer just to cover my butt. Not that it, my lowly little podcast over here, not that, they might even, I'm not even on their radar. At least I hope I'm not. But I will say that the episodes that I did about Amberlynn Reid, Foodie Beauty, Chris Chan, Josh Saunders, aka King Cobra JFS, all of those episodes that I did on LolCows have the most views and the most plays on Spotify throughout my entire repertoire, if you will. I think this is actually episode 112. So out of all these episodes that I've done over the last, I think, year, maybe a year, I'll have to look when I posted the original episodes. But yeah, my LolCow series and all, Amberlynn Reid and Foodie Beauty specifically, those two episodes have the most plays, the most views. Not many comments, but yeah, so I figured I'd do an update and do a where are they now kind of thing. And again, I have not read what I mean, I prompt the bot obviously, but I haven't read what it has put out. So this is LolCow Files, Amberlynn Reid, The Never Ending Cycle, an update. And let me preface this again by saying that I am prompting ChatGPT with my prompts that I come up with. So it's pulling, and I'm going to cite sources down below. Actually, I'm going to get the bot to include, where it's got its sources. A lot of it, I'm assuming, is from, YouTube itself, or Kiwi Farms, or Reddit, or any of those places, which, I mean, to me are credible and reliable sources, because again, people have opinions, but I think places like Reddit and Kiwi Farms, they kind of are, how do I put this? Unbiased? Or maybe they are biased, I don't know. My whole point is that episodes like this are absolutely allowed. I am not one to bash anybody. Like, yes, I'll have my opinions and I'll sometimes insert them, but as a whole, in what I am doing on this channel, podcast, whatever you want to call it, is I try and stay unbiased. I try and report the facts, if you will. So let's get into it. Amberlynn Reid never leaves the internet. She only rebrands, which is typical Amber. Every time it looks like the story has finally hit its end. Another breakup, another health scare, another promised last chance, quote unquote. She resets the board and starts again. Same channel, same tone, same lies, same audience, screaming into the void. This is not a redemption arc. This is a loop. And in this update episode, we're breaking down the new eras, new controversies, and the same old patterns that keep Amberlynn Reid frozen in place while the internet watches in disbelief. The post-breakup era, rinse and repeat. Following the collapse of her long-term relationship with Becky, aka Beck these days, Amberlynn entered what she framed as a self-discovery era. What it actually became was emotional whiplash, revisionist history, and a rotating cast of off-camera partners used as narrative props. Amberlynn painted herself as newly independent, empowered, and ready to finally put herself first, quote unquote. Within weeks, that story collapsed. Live streams became erratic. Mood swings played out in real time. Viewers watched her oscillate between smug confidence and open emotional meltdowns, sometimes in the same video. This wasn't growth. It was destabilization disguised as healing. The feeder accusations and sexualized validation. I'm going to go ahead and say now, I'm going to put it in my description at the very top, that listener discretion is advised, is that some of these topics can get a little touchy. It can get, very much on subjects that are, make people uncomfortable or may trigger some people. So if that is the case for you, maybe give this one a skip. I'm giving you an opportunity now to duck out. If any of these, sensitive topics are upsetting to you or triggering, what I'm about to read might trigger you. So, maybe give this one a skip and we'll see you next time. One of the most disturbing new arcs came when Amberlynn began hinting, then outright suggesting, that her partners found her weight sexually attractive in a way that bordered on feeder dynamics. For any of you that don't know what a quote-unquote feeder is, feederism, I guess, is what, I don't know if that's the actual term, but that's what I'm calling it. Feeders they sexualize very large people. I'm not going to say women or men or whatever. I guess it can go both ways. But they get off, is how I'm going to put it. They get off on feeding their partners and, not really encouraging weight loss. Not, it's like whatever they want to eat. They love watching somebody eat like copious amounts of food. They love the size of the person, that anything that, encompassing. So that's what they call a feeder. Where did we leave off? She didn't outright admit participation. Instead, she danced around it. Heavy emphasis on being desired. Repeated claims of partners loving her body exactly how it is. Subtle framing of weight gain as empowerment rather than consequence. At the same time, her content showed increased food obsession, defensive reactions to concern, and a near fetishistic focus on being perceived as wanted. Critics weren't accusing her of kink. They were accusing her of lying to herself and her audience while slowly killing herself for validation. This is where it gets dangerous, is that people in Amberlynn's position and her weight and her food addiction and obsession is what I'm going to call it. This is where it gets dangerous. And me being a big girl myself, I am also not almost 600 pounds. Or I don't even know how much she weighs today. But last time that I had kept up with her, she was like in the 580s, 590s. I am nowhere near that. But this coming from a big person myself, I don't think I've come across any kind of like fetishization. Is it, what was that word? Fetishizing. I haven't come across any fetishizing of my weight, I don't think, in as many years as I've been on the dating apps or anything like that. And there is one specifically for plus size women, by the way. I haven't come across it, but that's not to say that it doesn't happen. But this is where it gets dangerous, is that your health could be at risk when your partner is not actively concerned, or, you know, once you reach a certain weight, there has to be like certain health problems that come along with it. At one point, I believe Amberlynn was bedbound, like she couldn't physically, you know, move herself or move her body around. And she was getting assistance in the restroom. If, you know, I'm not going to get too detailed there. And like assistance with showering and stuff like that. But to me, as what is she, in her 30s now? A woman in your 30s should not need that type of assistance yet. If you are not, handicapped physically or anything like that, or injured or something like that, where she is like, I'm using air quotes, very big air quotes here, is a normal 30-something year old. She's anything but normal in my opinion. Again, I'm inserting opinions here. It gets dangerous when you yourself cannot control your addictions, your habits, and then your partner kind of perpetuates it, or feeds into it, and is essentially what's the word? Enabling that, addiction, because it's fetishized, because it is a sexual turn on for your partner. It's sick and twisted is what it is. Where did I leave off? I'm going to go on tangents on these because these updates, and I'm going to compare like what we're dealing with now compared to with what I knew then. And like I said, I haven't kept up with any of these people. Oh, look at my nails. I did my nails yesterday. Well, you can't really tell. 16-lane highway. Or I'm like a magpie. I see something shiny and I gotta, Anyway. They were accusing her of lying. I'm going to repeat this line. They were accusing her of lying to herself and her audience while slowly killing herself for validation. That's another point too for validation, is that these women are so highly insecure, which, is also leads to narcissism, or I'm not going to say full out narcissism, because I feel like people throw that around too often these days, as everybody thinks everybody's narcissist if they show any kind of toxic behaviors. But in my opinion, I am not a doctor. I am not a psychologist. I didn't go to school for psychology, nothing. It's just observation. And again, opinions, is that a very, very deeply insecure person, regardless of reason, it could be due to, a multitude of reasons. And I think it starts in your childhood. And Amberlynn Reid did not have the best childhood. She was in and out of foster care. Didn't really have that set like home life, if that makes sense. Didn't have like the best like daily routine that children like just errantly crave. I think there's other traumas there too, but you become very deeply insecure, and then narcissistic people kind of do a 180 in their brains, and they think they can't get out of their own way. They think, they are just stuck in their own heads. And then that's when you end up with the narcissism, is that they only think about themselves, and show no empathy towards anybody else, because they are protecting themselves at the end of the day. I could go on a whole nother psychological rant about people's brains and how they work, and my experiences with, different people like that. But I'm going to try and keep myself in one lane. I know I talk about my 16-lane highway all the time. That is my brain, is that I can change lanes from, this lane to this lane without a turn signal, as y'all saw previously. So I'm going to try my best. The ADD be ADDing. Let's see. Instead of addressing the concern, Amberlynn did what she always does. She mocked it. The health arc that never changes. By this point, Amberlynn's health arcs have become predictable enough to set a calendar by. Step 1, a vague medical scare. Step 2, emotional video with teary eyes and dramatic pauses. Step 3, promises of change. Step 4, a new diet name. Step 5, complete abandonment within weeks. Rinse and repeat. She continued to reference serious conditions, mobility issues, breathing problems, pain, while actively refusing sustained medical accountability. Viewers watched her insist she was working with professionals, I'm using air quotes if you're not watching, while simultaneously contradicting herself across uploads. Medical claims shifted, timelines changed, receipts never appeared, and any pushback was labeled as hater behavior. Now, that's spelled Haydur. That's a thing in Amber. That's lore in the Amberverse, is they're haters. Live streams where the mask slips. If edited videos are Amberlynn's PR department, live streams are where the truth leaks out. In recent streams, viewers documented snapping at chat over mild questions, guilt-tripping her audience for concern, passive-aggressive comments about money and support, and sudden emotional shutdowns when narratives were challenged. The tone wasn't vulnerable. It was hostile entitlement. The unspoken message was clear. Support me, believe me, and don't ask questions. That is a theme for our other famous LolCow, Chantal, aka Foodie Beauty. That's what these people do, is they want blind support, blind belief without any, like, don't question me. Just believe what I say, believe what I put out onto the internet, and don't ask questions. And also pay me. For a creator who built her career on oversharing, the irony was brutal. The money question. Amberlynn continues to insist she doesn't care about money. I mean, I wouldn't care about money too if I had hundreds of thousands of dollars. The numbers disagree. Despite declining views, her channel still pulls in revenue, though. Long videos, mid-roll ads, super chats, sympathy-driven engagement. Critics argue her content has shifted from lifestyle vlogging to emotional monetization, where crisis becomes currency. Every breakdown becomes a payday. Every controversy resets engagement, and every apology is vague enough to avoid accountability. Yep, that's another narcissistic trait, avoiding accountability, not taking responsibility for your words or actions. Audience fatigue and the LolCow stalemate. I feel like that is where we are at right now, in the LolCow universe. I feel like everything's gone stale. I feel like everybody's content these days isn't as punchy or isn't as interesting. Not that these people are overly interesting to begin with. To me, they're both very boring people. That just sit on the internet and expect people to send super chats or send, just monetize their entire lives for just sitting in front of a camera. I'm doing the same thing right now, sitting in front of a camera, but I'm reporting to you on stories. I'm actually, putting in effort, not much effort. Don't get it twisted. All I do is prompt a AI bot to create stories or documentary style exposés or anything like that, but it is work being put into it, how very little it is, but I feel like even these people don't go that far. Now, they did when they did more like pre-recorded videos, and I say they because I'm including both of them right now because they're both so very boring right now in my opinion. They're not doing, all right, I think back before the live streaming became a thing or became very popular among these, YouTubers, before live streaming was very popular, they would actually have to put in work. They'd actually have to edit videos. They'd have to come up with pre-recorded content, that they could put mid-roll ads in or something like that to, keep their paycheck coming in. But now with the whole live stream thing, it's like they've latched on to, little effort and they still pay me. All I have to do is sit in front of a camera. To me, it's boring. To me, if you are, I'm not even going to call them influencers. If you are a well-known YouTuber and you have a following, we're talking like hundreds of thousands of subscribers. I don't even know how many they have. I should look it up, but If you have a following like that, you kind of have an obligation to your audience to continue the quality of content that you originally started putting out. Now, that can change over the years and evolve. Like, okay, this channel right here, what I first started putting out is not my favorite now. Is that at the beginning I was excited about it and I was still getting the ball rolling. But now, if you go back and watch them, like my very first episodes, they're very quick. They're more like I was doing more like voice acting there, whereas now I'm kind of just I'm reading these prompts and I'm inserting my opinions and everything, and kind of elaborating more. But to me, that's what a channel is supposed to do. You're supposed to evolve, but still put in the same kind of effort. I'm gonna struggle with these tangents and forget where I was going in the first place. So forgive me if I'm rereading lines or anything. Oh, at this stage, Amberlynn Reid exists in a unique internet purgatory. Her supporters are exhausted. Her critics are desensitized. Reaction channels document her like anthropologists observing a stalled civilization. Nothing changes. The stakes get higher. The outcomes stay the same. And the audience, whether they love her, hate her, or just can't look away, keeps watching because the story never resolves. That's another thing, is that there's no resolution to it. And that's why people keep tuning in. It's like, is something going to happen today? Maybe next week. Is something going to happen today? They keep on watching, which I wonder if is that the genius in their channels? Let's see. Why the internet can't let go. Amberlynn isn't fascinating because she's evil. She's fascinating because she's stuck. She documents self-destruction in real time while insisting she's thriving. She weaponizes therapy language while avoiding therapy outcomes. She reframes criticism as abuse and concern as hate. And most disturbing of all, she seems genuinely convinced by her own version of events. More narcissistic tendencies is that they have a certain timeline of events in their brain of what they think happened, which is very scary because somebody's reality that could actually be truth to them, but that there's three sides to every story here. There's what they think happened, what we think happened, and then the truth somewhere in the middle. Very, very interesting how the brain works, and very scary at the same time that these people believe, all of these grandiose ideas about themselves or what they think or how they can frame something that happened that, I don't want to say millions, but like hundreds of thousands of people have been watching these people for years and years on the internet. And we're like, what, are we watching the same person? Like, what, are you crazy? I don't know if crazy is the right word. Maybe it's not, but final thoughts. This isn't a redemption story waiting to happen, which I think that's what why she started her channel in the first place. Was she started out this very mild, meek, sweet, soft-spoken. She was going to document her weight loss journey. And as great of an idea as that is, there's other channels that have been successful with that, as like, let's document my weight loss journey. Let's share the food that I'm eating, share my workout routine, all this stuff. And then you actually have a resolution to that. It's like, oh, look at me. I lost 100 pounds or, something like, I think that's like the initial like idea of starting a YouTube channel for Amberlynn Reid in the first place. But, it's a redemption story waiting to happen. This is a warning loop. Amberlynn Reid's update isn't about what's new. It's about how nothing ever is. Same excuses, same breakdowns, same promises, same collapse. And until something fundamentally changes, the LolCow keeps circling, the audience keeps watching, and the internet keeps asking the same question it's been asking for years. How many eras does it take before the ending finally sticks? Now, some little dark notion here is that the ending could very well be her demise. I'm going to use that word. Or people like to say unaliving these days. It very well could mean that, unfortunately, for somebody in her health condition, her weight, that could be that, or if it could be the end of her food addiction, or maybe she finally starts to drop a significant amount of weight, or she gets the weight loss surgery or something like that. I think viewers are craving an end, a finish line, a goal that she actually crosses. And I think at least a portion of her audience still holds on to hope for that for her. And that's why she still has a following. That's why she still collects a paycheck and she still has views. And she still has reaction channels. I don't consider myself a reaction channel. Yes, I am reacting and I am updating about a person, but I'm not a reaction channel. But they are out there, and they still review Amberlynn Reid for what she is. So yeah, I don't feel like this got very detailed with where she is. It's basically saying that she's at the same place she was back when I did the episode before. But thank you so much for watching. If you're liking these, if you're any of these episodes, I know this one is kind of not my normal content, but every so often I like to switch it up and change lanes. If you're liking any of this content at all, consider liking, sharing, subscribing. Create a playlist of my episodes. Have me in your ear while you're at work all day, while you're cleaning, while you're doing laundry. It'd be great. And if you want to share us around, let your friends know that we're having a good time over here. At least I'm having a good time. I'm having fun making these, and we want everyone in on the fun. But thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.